Alright, so we're back once again, and today is a little bit of a change. I thought, we're going to mix it up a little bit, and as you can probably see from the screen, we're definitely mixing it up quite a bit. I was browsing recently for a different game to play, and well, I realised that I still had Battlefield 1 on my desktop. The only difference being that I still had to download about 30 gigabytes to get it actually installed again. And I thought, I have such good memories of this game, I wonder how it held up in 2020 when Battlefield 5 is released. You have Modern Warfare, you have all these different games. So that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to have a little bit of discussion, a little bit of gameplay, and we're going to see the current state of Battlefield 1 in 2020. Let's get into it. Alright, so I believe we should start with the current state of the game. And well, things have changed quite a bit since this game was originally released, I think in 2016, 2017, at least it's been 3 or 4 years. And although the player base has died down quite a bit, there still is many servers available, depending on the time of day of course, but generally it doesn't really matter what time. If in your time zone, if you play in the evening time to night time, there's going to be servers available. I know for me in the European time zone, there's still plenty of servers available, mostly German, which makes sense. Even when the game was popular, there still was a hell of a lot of German servers online. So there's going to be no issue finding a game, although there is going to be a bit of a trick in how you have to find a game. You're going to have to play with the filters a little bit. Generally what I do is when you go to the slots available section on the server browser, you have to enter in 1 to 5 or in 6 to 10, something like that, and servers will pop up. Now, as I said, the player population has fallen off quite a bit, but there still is quite a dedicated fan base, and generally with Battlefield 5 not really living up to the hype and not being as, massive as people made it out to be, the World War I variant of Battlefield still is one of the best Battlefield games of all time. And with that player base being a lot smaller, you're still going to have a pretty high skill level of the player base. It really hasn't deteriorated at all. I remember it almost feels like I'm just back playing the game as I once was, and there's no real depreciation in skill level or a massive jump. You're still gonna have players that will just run at you and not shoot at you at all, which is basically a free kill, but there also will be those players that can snipe you from halfway across the map. And whether they're hacking or not, well, that's a different story. And well, having played a limited amount of Battlefield 1 again, I haven't noticed all that many alleged hackers, so I don't think that's much of a concern. Now, let's get back into what's actually available to play. What I used to play mostly was Domination, which is a kind of a mix between a control the flag type scenario and, well, a team deathmatch scenario. And it's a very kind of enclosed scenario, but there's no real tanks. There still is things like AT rockets and stuff like that, but it's still very kind of team deathmatchy, shall we say. So that was my favourite mode, which probably isn't the most popular mode, but it's the one I enjoyed the most. Probably the key selling point of Battlefield 1 was the operations, and the operations are so goddamn good. And to this day, you can still find servers full of operations, which should be right up any Battlefield 1 player's alley. And of course, there is Conquest, which is by far the most popular game mode out of all of them. This is the most popular game mode, and again, just like operations, there's going to be a hell of a lot of servers with empty slots for you to play Conquest in. Ever get into weapons? Again, EA isn't actually updating any of these weapons, so again, probably the state you left them in is probably going to be the state they're still in, so you're still going to have very weird dynamics between different weapons. For me personally, I play the Automatico, the Annihilator Trench, and the Hellriegel. I know previously the Hellriegel's been nerfed quite a bit, but I still have a bit of fun playing Assault. So that's that. In terms of maps, the maps are always still so goddamn good, and mostly I've been playing a hell of a lot of St. Quentin Scarm, Sinai Desert, maps like that. They seem to be the most popular, and they tend to frequent a hell of a lot. A personal favorite of mine is Argonne Forest, which that map is absolutely beautiful, and it's probably one of my favorite maps out of any Battlefield game to ever exist. But I think that's enough of, you know, how the current state and how the current game feels. Let's get into the future projections. So going forward, I think Battlefield 1 still already has that kind of Battlefield 4 status. It's a really, really excellent game, well developed, well, at least in its last iteration or last update, it's a very good game. So with that going forward, it's always going to be that state of the game. So it's always going to be very, very well received. I don't see it going the route of Battlefield 5, like really dying off, or Battlefield 3, where you don't really hear about it all that more. So I think for the long term, it's still going to be up there. The quality is fantastic. It's basically photorealistic at this point. Come on, looking at some of those screenshots, it's absolutely fantastic. Gameplay is still pretty decent interaction. Like, there's no jarring OP items, there's no jarring, you know, game breaking bugs or anything like that. Well, not that I've witnessed. If you've witnessed them, maybe leave a comment what it is and I'll take a look at it. Not that I can actually do anything, but you know what I mean. And well, the skill base is still pretty decent, pretty standard for a, you know, a shooter, an FPS shooter. So that's pretty decent. And one thing I find is happening is that a lot of BF5 players are coming back to Battlefield 1 because it is such an absolute staple of the Battlefield series, and it's cannibalizing Battlefield 5 to an extent. So long term, I actually think the outlook is pretty good for Battlefield 1. I would say much better than Battlefield 5. But with that being said, that's my opinions on the state of Battlefield 1 in 2020. I think it's in a really good state, really good, fun game. And if you have it on your desktop sitting there, download the game, get in a game, and actually relive that absolute enjoyment that is Battlefield 1. But as always, that's it for the video, and well, I'll see you in the next one.